Well, a very impressive showing for VP in a game one. They have an advantage in our first best of three of the night. Danog, though, there were a lot of signs of life for one move in that game one. Do we feel like there's any in particular that they can look to expand on heading into the second game?
It did just feel like the TP was never really able to just stand and fight, right? They just ran away from a lot of what they had. I thought Gilgil had a lot of great steals. You know, the amount of times he stole Sonic Wave, he was able to even get the Decrep a couple of times, which is, of course, very effective against the CK, but they just didn't have the lockdown that they needed. I think Gilgir didn't even finish the game with that Aghanim Shard picked up as well, so they had to rely on Panto getting those amazing Blink Tombstone saves off, and it just wasn't enough. You know, they could just hang around and wait for him to pop out after killing the Tombstone.
I will say, though, it's very interesting now, because that was a question I had, like, is the Tombstone going to be a guaranteed way like the telekinesis was, like you were mentioning, and it seemed like it was. It was pretty instant with his responses, so at least that's a nice kind of mechanic to know in some crazy games where you might need to consider that, because there was one thing I wasn't really sure how it was going to shape out.
Tusk Snowball, basically, you know, just Blink Tombstone instead of Blink Snowball. Bit harder for an Undying, of course, to get the Blink Dagger, but, you know, they made it work at least for a little bit. It was just that last Roche fight for mine, right, around the top area. They played it perfectly on Virtus.pro.
Yeah, that they did, and one individual as well for Virtus.pro, Squad X, really played that fight perfectly as well. I mean, like we mentioned towards the end of the game, the highest damage dealer throughout game one, and we'll see what they're going to look to try and pick up for him in this second game as well. Virtus.pro, they're going to be on the Radiant side, playing with second pick, one move on Die side, playing with first pick. So mentioned that maybe one move having first pick, they don't need to ban out the Beastmaster. Well, they actually had it last game, right? Did they open with Doom? Yeah.
So they opened with a Doom, yeah.
So maybe they might
just ban
I don't know, that's tricky. Yeah, just ban Beast and go Doom still?
Yeah. If that's what you're more comfortable with. I mean, again, like, Afterlife is capable of playing so many different things that you don't even need to lock him into, like, oh, he's just going to play Doom. Like, that's a disservice to what he's capable of.
So let's you mentioned in the last game that there's C in particular. I mean, you brought up Talon, like, you know, Q and Savage like to flex it. You said Immersion, Eastern Europe likes to play the 4 Doom, but we got to remember as well, I mean, this was one of the regions that kind of invented the mid Doom as well, which is something we don't see anymore at all. But back when kind of Iceberg was playing, that was really his comfort for him, and we saw a lot of other people even trying to play the mid Doom as well. So definitely has been
Carl
a region
on
that
T1, he loved it too.
Yep, very true. So there's a lot of teams have attempted to put it in other roles, but at the moment it's like 99% of the time in that middle lane. As we do get the draft on screen, nothing different so far, although I do not remember about the Magnus.
I think it was banned. I mean, the big thing for mine is this once again screams Pango to me. Like, you're just going up against an RP. Not the greatest. I mean, the radius is going to catch you in the Rolling Thunder, and Bloodseeker, enough said, you know.
5 seconds.
It's, yeah, exactly.
Agrad played it pretty well, didn't he? Like, there wasn't really too much that we could fault about his gameplay. He was always in a position to be able to react accordingly to the early aggression that Virtus.pro had. It's just, there's only so much that you can do as a Pango, right? He went a little bit more into, like, that team fight disruptor style as opposed to pure damage output.
And he got a lot out of the lane as well, right? Like, that was something we were not really expecting him to be actually ahead of the Queen of Pain at that stage, so let us see. Previously, Virtus.pro was the techies. Once again, it's going to be the techies. So, the Doom's going to be potential. We already spoke about the Beastmaster. Have to imagine it's going to be one of those. So, of course, there's still a plethora. I mean, Deuce is still in the pool. A lot of other options they can go for if they want to on one move. But I feel like Beast and Doom probably a lot of priority between these two teams in this series.
5 seconds remaining.
Just thinking how they actually want to start this. Like, can you
Virtus
afford to just start with something like a Rubik? They're still just going to go the Doom, putting a little bit more priority on it. I suppose you don't want to give up, you know, that many different heroes to be able to start things, but I mean, they can just be smart again. I really
Dire
don't see why you would ever be in a position to not. Like, it's just so versatile that it's the best hero in terms of what item build you go for the specific situation. Full auras, drums of Slom like Lotus just did, Helm of the Overlord, it all works.
So I don't
10
have an issue with them
seconds
going
remaining.
Terrorblade again. I mean, it's able to address the Beastmaster. Maybe
5
we see
seconds remaining.
and goes on. Pugna can be a bit frustrating with being able to deal with the illusions. So we'll see if they're going to look to avoid that or so.
This is what you
Plus-
banned the Bloodseeker for, right? So it makes sense that they're going to go
Turn to
Pango.
ban.
I really don't think it was the Pango that was the issue last game. I think it's just you need more stuff to be able to enable it. And I remember, I didn't actually see in the game, but did you notice Terrorblade using the Nullifier effectively in any of those fights? Because again, like, if you're in meta, it's not the biggest range.
10
I think
seconds remaining.
don't think they had a telescope as well. Pugna did on the other team, but just that
5
extra cast
seconds
range
remaining.
might have been able to enable them to use it. It just never really seemed to happen.
Yeah, no, I don't really remember the Nullifier
Dire
having
team
a whole lot
back.
of value for them in that game. So let's see if the
Pros
Pop gets banned
turn
out
to ban.
instead of what was the Disruptor in the previous game with this last ban.
Yeah, it was Storm, Ember, and was it?
Disruptor.
It was Disruptor. Yeah. Even just like, I just want to see a Nullifier builder.
10
You
seconds
know, that's decent
remaining.
in lane against the
Dire team
Beastmaster.
back.
Lifesteal are not the worst. Maybe it's a bit early into the draft, but I mean, there's not going to be a Bloodseeker that you're playing against. You can jump into the Pango Taxi as well to be able to get you in onto the front lines, and then very easy ways to be able to take out that Pugna in the middle of these fights.
10
Excuse me.
seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I do have to wonder about the Coddle though. They've banned it out twice in a row now on Virtus.pro.
Yeah.
It is something that Gilgit plays quite well, but I'm not really seeing like the true synergy. I guess it does mean that you're able to play with that Pango a little bit more aggressively rather than purely reactionary, but I feel like even without it, Anchorite got a lot out of this game. So maybe they're just going to go back to the well again on VP and say, look, he actually did better than we were probably expecting. This time around, I've got his number, and then we can do even better than we did last time.
I still think Coddle's just like a strong 4 that can get a lot of utility items like Parvis, Solar Crest, maybe any auras.
Turn to
Always
ban.
potential for Scepter, always potential for Hex. I think it's a lane where you can just look to, you just spam Scorched Earth and Blast, and I feel like you get your farm and it doesn't matter what you're playing into, so...
Protects the Doom as well, right? The Blast, just if they start running at him. Or you can even...
10 seconds
Coddle's got incredibly
remaining.
fast movement
Dire
speed, so you
team
run ahead, blast him back into the Scorched Earth, and what can you do? I mean, I really don't see a reason why not, you know? Pugna... And they can't flex this Pango to 3 now, since they've gone Doom Pango, and pick something like a Puck that would have been a counter to it. Pretty sure the Oracle was banned in this sec. Is this the exact same draft?
It's exact same.
remaining.
It's exact same.
Okay. We're watching a replay here?
5
What's going on?
seconds remaining.
So if this continues, Terrorblade plus Undying, nothing
You still
changes
want
for
the
me.
CM?
I would like. I think they need some control. Like that was a really big issue previous game.
Dire team
If you go back into the Terrorblade route, like it's Jug as well. Like he kind of had this with stuns, but maybe Jug CM. I mean,
It's a good lane.
it's a very good lane. It's a
Pugna
very
can't,
very good lane.
Pugna can't save you if you wanted to flex it to 4 as well, and it doesn't give you like that really easy Skywrath
10
Mage counter to
seconds
it in the lane
remaining.
as well, which the Undying did.
Virtus
I feel like
Pros
it's the CM.
turn
I mean,
to
even
ban.
just okay, Lich is fine too. Sinister Gaze also just providing a little bit more of that physical damage reduction, of course, with the Frost Shield. Gives them a little bit of control in the fights, but it's kind of harder to get the movement slow out. Maybe once you pick up the
10
Ice Spire,
seconds
right?
remaining.
Like it's not necessarily just for the Chain Frost, like bouncing around for these solo
5
kills, but
seconds
just to
remaining.
enable people to not juke out things like the Pango roll and things like that. I want to see what the Jug build is too, because like I think I saw it might have been Yapsaw that was testing the Juggernaut out, and he was like using the harpoon just because in an Omni Slash, you know, you can be hitting one target and then you just harpoon someone together and then it bounces to the second one. It's a cool little mechanic to have. does prevent you from getting kited around quite as much as well, which is always a useful thing.
You go your... It's got to be your second support. I mean, they did the same thing last game, even with the carry getting shown. So just trying to think of what that one was. Like you mentioned, Sky probably not as much value. Are you wanting some control through BKB? Because it's now Jug, Pango, and Doom's going to buy it as well. So, like, is there something else that you're considering to pair with the Beastmaster to make them not be as mobile?
What is it?
True.
As a full, like, Spirit Breaker maybe? But you really don't want a Spirit Breaker. Oh, there it is. Like, I was about to say, Bane is one of them that provides it, but not as a 4, really. You know, this is a draft that does not deal with push all that well, and you would have to imagine that with a Juggernaut instead of a Terrorblade, you might look to get a tiny bit more active in the earlier
10
stages,
seconds
right?
remaining.
Doom's still going to be, you know, passively pushing out, yada, 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 but
5
it feels to me like
seconds
this is a
remaining.
lineup that just wants to start running at you a little bit sooner. So I think we're going to see even more brawls than we did last time around.
Virtus.pro's turn to ban.
This is a classic, is it not, though? An FNG Bane. I don't see any reason for them to put the Bane into the Jug. I mean, Pugner's, like you said, not going to be able to protect them with the Decrep, though, but there's no, like, Q plays that Bane can do, so more than likely we get FNGs here, which doesn't matter what
10
team he's won, doesn't matter
seconds
what year it is, FNG Bane is always a staple.
5 seconds remaining.
I mean, there's so many great things, right? The spin, the roll, the BKBs coming through to be able to interrupt. I'm also just thinking in terms of damage reduction, right? Like, is this Enfeeble going to be all that impactful? Probably not. I mean, it's decent against the Pangolier, right? Just to prevent a little bit of that extra movement around with the Swashbuckle too, and some of the damage component. Bane's also a universal hero. You know we love those.
Very strong right now, they are. Very, very strong.
Dire team
Position
ban.
1 into the Juggernaut.
Virtus.pro's
I guess,
turn
yeah,
to
something
ban.
that's like a Skadi builder would be quite nice. Something that's just able to stay at range. Something that's not going to die within a single Omni Slash. There's not... I'm just thinking, is there ever potential for, like, PA to come through?
10
I'm a PA
seconds
fan,
remaining.
you know this. And I feel like it's in a spot where
seconds
it's going to be
remaining.
enabled by all the vision that you're providing. Your
Dire
supports
team
aren't
pick.
stealing your farm, it's all for you. And, you know, up against a very physical, damage-heavy lineup, PA is just going to be incredibly impactful.
Mirana on one move? I'll go back to
You'll get
PA in a
Mirana.
second.
Seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
Yeah, I mean, they got a
The-
little bit more control this time.
And I
5
also
seconds
kind
remaining.
of want a long-range stun for the Fiend's group. Arrow's not as reliable. I was thinking of Monkey, but then you're going to have a double melee, which I think will be punished with Bane plus
Clocks,
1.
similar sort of thing.
Yeah, so...
You might be able to go Mirana like Atos as well. Like you were wanting the CM against the Quap, but Atos on a Mirana isn't the worst. Hoodwink's
Okay.
fine. Bit
Strong
more
lane.
pick-off oriented as well.
Gives you an extra stun. And they go
Choose
Luna.
your
So
hero.
something that's a Kiritich very much likes this hero. We've even seen them run it already so far in the summer tour. I mean, you got the Luna Beastmaster. This is a lineup that's going to be able to group up very early on. We know Juggernaut needs a little bit of time. Like, he can have a good lane, and we're expecting him to probably have a good lane as well with Jug and Lich. A lot of kill threat between them, but VP will be able to run down the map very, very early. I have some concern. Luna's an X factor for me. We don't see this here a lot, but I feel like they might have some issues with how active VP are going to be able to get and just to group up as 5.
My issue is... It's going to be around, like, the laning stage for me with this Kiritich and FNG lane. Just, if the the Nightmare is used and it's on cooldown for quite a long time, you know, those earlier levels. If Afterlife is just allowed to run at you along with Gilgear, Kiritich can die pretty repeatedly in these lanes. So that's the big thing that I'm concerned about, right? Like, Luna plus the Bane don't really do a great job of shoving the lane away, which is what you need to do against the Doom. You don't want Doom to be enabled to dive underneath your tower.
So we'll see. Afterlife really struggled in that previous game in the lane, and honestly a lot throughout the game as well. We didn't really feel the impact out of the Doom, but Hoodwink is a hero that we haven't seen a lot. I mean, no teams are really picking it up at all. Maybe a game here or there, but it's very unpopular at the moment. But it does seem like there's going to be a lot of value out of this Hoodwink for Gilgear. But how is he going to be able to perform on it? That's a real question for one move as a whole as well. How will they shape up in this second game? But the draft is set. First, a word from EGB.
Bets on esports, bets on streamers, impressive bonus system. Welcome bonus up to $600, cashback, artifacts, regular promotions, daily giveaways. Try yourself as a bookmaker. Great lines. EGB.com, more than just a bookmaker.
So do you agree with this? Do we feel like Virtus.pro early on are going to have a lot of strength with being able to run as 5, but do you feel like there might be some difficulty with them executing late game team fights compared to one move as Kira did run? Well, goodbye, Luna. It was lovely knowing you, but now you're giving over a first blood over to one move, and Half-Life's going to yoink that one.
Yeah, it was up for grabs, right? You had the spin going, you had the Scorched Earth, you even had the Blood Grenade coming through from Lich, I'm assuming that used it? Probably. Can you give Blood Grenades over to your teammates? Kind of like wards? Because I really feel like Panto wants to have this for the Juggernaut lane, to be able to look to try and... Yeah, just to look to try and get a little bit more dominance over against this Beastmaster, right? This is what you pick the lane for. This is absolutely a kill lane. So just to get that little bit of an XP boost is a plus, but... Even just Munkushi, I mean, the spin's back up again, so Yush needs to be careful with his positioning.
The battle begins.
Yeah, so again, the way I look at the game, I feel like Virtus.pro, they're going to be able to... I mean, it's a Beastmaster Luna. You're just going to run together as 5, get a crap load of objectives, because we spoke about one move. I mean, this is a Doom Juggernaut duo. You're going to need a lot of farm. Aincrad can be able to play with his Hoodwink, but... I feel like as the game goes on, though, and if we get to like 35 minutes and the net worth is kind of even and not too far behind, it seems like one move, just their fights look easier to execute. Like Pango can start, Doom can start, Hoodwink's a nuisance as well. You can just put Jug on the front, whereas for Virtus.pro, like the only way you really start fights is just running down lanes and taking objectives. Do you agree? Like as the game goes on?
Possible, right? It depends how many objectives that they get early on, because if they don't have as many towers to play around, then those Hawks really multiply in value. You know, you could send them all across the map and they're not going to get scouted out by, like, the edge of a tower's vision, for example. And they've got good catch to be able to play around with, right? The Queen of Pain is still enabled by the Pugner, that hasn't changed. And you're going to have 2 BKB piercing stuns in the Fiend's Grip and the Beastmaster Roar. So it's really, if they can get some early towers on VP and open up the map, then some of these smokes, even in the mid to late game, can really pay off in my opinion.
Got to keep tabs on though for Virtus.pro if they will be able to get those objectives early on. And a lot of their tempo is going to come out unnoticed, but I mean, I asked a question in the previous game, I'll ask it again. Is there any other things that we might not expect that we need to keep eyes on to help out with Virtus.pro's tempo?
With VP's tempo, I don't think so. I mean, maybe it'll change if Squad has a bit of a rougher time, a bit of a better time in the lane against the Pangolier, like if he's enabled to make a few more of these early rotations, maybe secure some kills, as, yeah, once again, the Lich Juggernaut lane, very effective at being able to secure these kills. Even notice, putting a little bit of work into Munkushi, making sure that he's not able to freely get back to the lane, secure some of those last hits under the tower. But yeah, I don't really think so. Like, I feel like... Sorry, FNG's getting dived as well. I feel like it's still going to be a case where you're just really heavily looking to play around this level 6 timing. Exactly the same as last game, right? Pugner, it's fine for the lane, but this certainly doesn't help out what you've got to face up against with the Juggernaut Lich lane. Well, you're level 6, though, you enable the Queen of Pain, Slingish is going to die another time.
He just TP'd right back to the lane, so... Yikers.
And similar sort of thing with a Bane, right? You should do fine enough in the lane. Actually, I say that. FNG getting dived a little bit here. Nice helping hand there from Kiritich to be able to provide the mini-stun. But yeah, it's only really once you're level 6 that you're going to enable the rest of your team to be able to find that connection through, right? We've seen FNG time after time just be in the perfect position to be able to, you know, interrupt a TP away or set up for the rest of the team to connect through with a Nightmare into the Fiend's grip.
It seems like both side lanes are going to go much better for one move this game. And mid as well is going how we expected last game to go for Squad X. 24 compared to the 16-1. Aincrad once again is going to have to go back and pick up the bounty rune to be able to help out just with being able to sustain through the spam of the dagger.
Yeah, I didn't see if the build was any different from Squad. I would assume no. Like, you really want to be maxing out this... Well, not maxing out, but a few points into the Shadow Strike against the Pango lane.
Oh my lord.
Pango
Notice
really
as
does
well,
nothing in this.
if they
Nice
can
body
continue
blocks.
with the body blocks, Munkushi's doing a really good
Another
job
blast.
to get some attacks and still stand in front of him. And as a result, Panther is able to find that last blast and also denies himself as well. So this top lane is... Oh, it's a disaster start for Virtus.pro.
Yep, it's kind of what we were expecting, right? Like, this is why when the Bane came out, I was like, alright, makes a lot of sense, but it does make your lane so much more challenging. As FNG, they were looking to get a bit of a kill onto Gilgear, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to secure that one either. Might actually be FNG going down here. Doesn't have the mana to get that brain sap off.
It was a very cute play from Afterlife. Swap the Nightmare on Gilgear so he could get the Bushwhack out to just get some distance away. I mean, Afterlife is well aware he's not going to be touched, and now this is almost a Vanguard completed. So, dude, Squad X has to ball out of control now with the Queen of Pain, both top and bottom, and going very, very poorly. You're not going to have supports to make any plays as well. Like you said, this Pugner enables the Queen of Pain, but you're not really the one to help to get involved early on to make amends and get kills. And well, for the Bane, you need level 6 too to maybe help with some pick-up potential. So all our attention needs to be put on the Queen of Pain. It's top lane again. Munkushi. This time they're going to notice. And they're going to be able to tickle the Beastmaster, bring him low. Meanwhile, Pantomin's in some trouble as well with the last right click. It's not going to be okay. And of course, Munkushi's holding with the Hailing Ward, so repair some of the damage.
I mean, they've unblocked this hard camp as well, so Panto is in a position to get another pull-off, which he might. So he's not quite able to get the entire wave distracted. Siege Creep still interacting with it. He only got the stack off onto the hard camp previously, really just wanting to rush back to that lane, realizing how much of a kill threat it is, but he needs to just be playing around these stacks right now on the Pugner. You know, build up hard camp stacks, maybe secure the top power rune. 6 minutes coming up, so they'll see him starting to make the movement towards there. Wonder if they might even look to set up for a kill onto this Pugner if he shows in the lane. But Squad going towards the same side. Again, going to come down to luck this time, and for now, Gaben is smiling on one move.
Looks like the odds are smiling on one move as well. EGB slightly favoring the boys on Dire. Don't blame them with the start they've had so far, and looks like they're going to be able to further that as well as Aincrad off the back of the Ace. 4 deaths. Sayush to be able to start this second game. It's going to be Aincrad that's rewarded with a kill as well.
So the thing I'm a little surprised about with Sayush is that he didn't go for any sort of like creep pulls with this sort of situation. I know it's harder to do it now than it previously was, just with the terrain, how it's set up. Like, you have to wait a couple of extra seconds to make sure like creep camps aren't pulled, but the small camp was blocked off at the very start. So
just really want to quickly put the attention on bottom. Well, continue point, but look at bot as well, because I think Kiritich going to get chased down after this pause.
Okay, we'll see what happens. But yeah, you have like a movement speed advantage of this Pugner relative to the Lich, right? Lich now might have the boots. Yeah, he's just got enough money for it, so it's going to be a lot more challenging now, but really didn't have the tools to be able to catch the Pugner if he did go for that sort of lane pool sort of stuff and stack building. And that's the way to be able to beat hard lanes, is just to not lane.
They almost got the kill, Bushwhack.
Yeah, second or third death on the Pugner. That might be the way that they do it. It's Aincrad moving down towards the bottom side, though, as FNG. I mean, he's got the Nightmare to be able to maybe go for this yoink, but Aincrad, he knows what's up.
Nice,
didn't even need
very
him.
well done.
They got both?
That they did. I mean, that's disaster for them to get both. They swap out the Nightmare. Get some extra experience to be able to go their way as well. This is... Not a good start.
It's not the greatest start. I mean, yeah, for Pugner, just sitting at level 3.5, it's going to be a long time until he's enabled. And yeah, this one move draft, you were a little bit concerned about what VP might be able to do once it gets to the late game, but it's the early game that they worry about right now. The plus side is, of course, that Tancred won't be able to get back to this lane fast enough, and Sayush, along with that siege creep, actually able to take the tier 1 tower. So it gives a little bit less of that TP reactions in case Squad X ever does get in a position to be able to go for those solo kills. Are they going to be able to find the pickoff onto him? Not quite. But more stacks being built up here.
Yep.
Don't have vision just yet.
Cold preserves me.
At least denies that rune away, and you got to say, Quap's probably the happier one with that. You know, Quap's always going to be able to have the ability to just stay in that lane a little bit longer off the back of the Shadow Strike. Bounty rune being bowled up though, still the 6-minute one for Anchored, means that he can just walk on back. But you can even just see, like, notice he's kind of got the memo as well. He's level 6 and he's built up his own stack for himself, as well as what Pugner was able to do previously. Look at Panto. He's scouting out the fact that there's a bunch of stacks built up as well with this Deep Observer Ward, and they've got the heroes that have the tools to be able to take this one away. Juggernaut plus the Pangolier absolutely can look to do it. Ankrad might just look to shove that lane one more time. Has to be careful about walking underneath that Watcher radius, though. He'll go right at the last second, and yeah, there we go. Popping absolutely everything, and they're not going to be able to get there fast enough.
God damn.
Nicely done by one move. Even Munkushi hanging around for that extra last second to make sure that the next camp didn't spawn either. Really nice movement coming out from Panto there to be able to scout that, and it's a 9-minute Chain Frost available now for the Lich, so they might even look to go into this one again. I mean, yeah, just pop the Chain Frost on it. Why not? It's low enough.
Very good. Notice has good positioning though. At least is far down to the south. Won't have enough time to react as a bushwhack catches up to him. Even Munkushi wants to get involved as well to get him closer towards the battlefield. I mean, this is your way back into the game, and now with all the stack squads, gonna be up to Squad X. No point in the ultimate just yet. A 3-1-4 build. Looks like Phantom is just gonna sacrifice his life so the rest of the boys are able to get out of danger. Even a spiteful Chain Frost as well. His dying breath.
Should have put it on the Ancients. Might have been able to get a little bit more of that farm, deny it away, but yeah, just look at what it means in terms of the net worth across all the cores, right? Juggernaut well ahead of the Lunar at this point in time.
It's crazy though, the fact that they are so farmed and still Squad X is equal to them. I don't know how he's 75 last hits? What? This dude is balling out of control. Again, I mean, this game is all on him. He had a phenomenal Queen of Pain performance in the previous one, but he's gonna have to try and one-up that.
I mean, some of the Pango movements, right? He used the haste rune towards the top one to get the kill onto the Pugner. He used his movement to be able to secure the Wisdom rune. So it just did leave Squad X a lot of time alone in that mid lane. And I mean, he could just look to probably just act as the core sort of this game, right? He is the main tempo builder for the early portions, as poor Pugner, who's not the one that wants to be giving up his life. So important for him to reach up onto that level 6 so that the Squad X Quap is enabled. He's got the Witchblade already, but you just want to be able to stay out on the map and be able to make plays, specifically around, I would say, the Doom, but even then it's scary to run into a Doom that's tanky enough, right? He's got the Vanguard, he's even got the Ensnare, just in case that Quap made the rotation through and isn't quite in range for the Doom. Doing such a good job on one move right now. Playing around the siege creep as well to its fullest potential. So even if Munkushi gets forced out of the top side, there's all of bottom to be able to play with. Gotta say similar though for VP, right? Squad X moving up top along with the Pugner. They're even looking to drag this creep wave a little bit as well, just so that they can take this tower away as quickly as they can, even using the Fortify for it. Double purpose, helping protect mid lane, as well as just allowing this tower to go down as quickly as possible. Yeah, looking to immediately make that rotation back towards the mid lane is Squad. to me, I don't know where exactly you can go on the Pugner, but it's just, he needs this level 6. He needs to get a little bit of that lane farm. Maybe it would have been better for him to make the movement towards mid, but he didn't have the TP scroll available, so what can you do?
At least they have a little bit more of the map to be able to farm now, because VP are going to need to try and find the items to be able to get back into this game. And imagine for them it's going to be support to try and position in front of the cause just to act as that smoke block, as FNG is currently doing that, enabling Kiritich to continue finding his farm. But I would expect shortly Kiritich is
Afterlife's got Octarine, so I think the rest of them are going to start to make a play right now off the back of this.
Yep, they'll do just that. FNG. Jesus. Alright, why not? 4 tips. Screw you, FNG, they say. What did he do? What? 4 tips? Come on.
Did he... I thought he might have, like, illusion dodged the Nightmare with the illusion rune, but...
Panto?
Sure.
Squad's in trouble with the diffusal, so Ankrad... Oh, we guessed wrong. Alright. Rolling Thunder on cooldown, so 70-second of some breathing room for VP. I'm sure they'll take that with the action that we've seen out of one move. You definitely said, Danog, that this game was... We're going to have a lot more kills early on, but all those kills so far have been favoring the boys on Dire.
I feel like it might finally be in a position to go back the other way, though. They're looking to play around this Hawk, launching out towards the mid lane, even though Notice is still looking to go into this Aghanim Scepter, scaling damage sort of style. And with a power rune as well, you would have to imagine this is their time to be able to make something happen on VP. They're clumping together a little bit. Fiend's Grip, Life Drain, Sonic Wave, all available, while the core is looking to farm. Kiritich playing on the safest part of the map right next to the tier 2 tower. And they've already taken the tier 1 mid, so they meant to make this rotation up towards the top side. They would love to get the Juggernaut, who just patrolled to the south side of this Observer Ward. And they're going to be just making an absolute beeline towards him. Any Observer Wards on the cause? Not quite, and Lich actually just makes a move towards the rest of his team, so he was in a good spot to be able to break that smoke, but won't be able to. Yeah, good Observer Ward, instant Fiend's Grip.
He got the healing ward down, though. Doesn't look like it's going to matter. Okay, double damage rune pop from Squad X. But the response is going to be there. One move, TP in multiple members. They have a lot of stuns to hold the Quinnipiac into place. They're going to do whatever they can to blow her up. The Sharpshooter only tickling her, and Sayush will repair the damage as well. So a double kill off the back of the move from Virtus.pro. It's a much needed invade into the jungle from them.
And this is what I was talking about with the level 6, right? They can just do so much with it, whereas previously they were just at the mercy of whatever one move were throwing at them with the strong laning phase. So I'm sure that's exactly what Munkushi is picking out, the sentry wards, just to be able to remove a little bit of that dangerous area for him to have to play around, because they would not have got that Fiend's Grip off if not for the Observe Ward up on the high ground. Even just with the Nightmare and the Parvis and the Decrep at this stage, Sayush is a little difficult to kill, right? I'm not sure if he wants to quickly shove this lane in just to try and keep the Siege Creep alive for as long as possible, but have a look at FNG's positioning, really not wanting to give this ward up for free. They won't.
True to that. Oh, we got a kill to add to it. And it's an early tip, and honestly, I'd say a bit of an ambitious one considering how poorly this game has gone, but FNG's is to try and strike back a little bit. They're going to have to do that multiple times in a row for those tips to not be working in one move's favor prior.
And Afterlife's so close to getting that Boots of Travel as well. He is farming incredibly well. He's actually going to look to join with the rest of the team, possibly for a smoke, to get that full wraparound towards the area that's warded. But just have a look at FNG's positioning as well. He's playing around the left tree line to make sure that he's not in a position to get counted out.
Yeah, it's not going to work a second time, my friends. They'll bring all 4 heroes, and now Fanta's like, yeah, good try. It worked the first time. Second time, it's not going to have the same fate. They'll be able to get the stun, cancelling off the TP from the Pugnut, so Sayush will go down as well. On its both supports, you see Squad X continuing to farm, Kiritich along with Notice, so it's not the worst in the end, but funny how this time they bring more people.
Yeah, for sure. And they didn't take, like, the quote-unquote obvious avenue towards it, right? They came from below, where they might have thought that they had a bit of difficulty coming in from that sort of avenue. Even just the Pugner, like, going into the lane first, kind of throws them off their game a little bit, right? They might think, oh, he's the one that's going to be finding the initiation, but instead it was just a pretty good one by Gilgear, being able to land that bushwhack.
I think he's had a very solid game so far, 4-0-4. Remember, the power of the Hoodwink is your lane, especially with a strong hero like the Doom, FNG. Well, and that's also a big reason why you want to draft the hero. Gilgear has the capability to always stop the Fiend Trip short and be able to get another kill onto FNG. But again, that kill really means nothing. Cores are still farming, protecting your towers, Squad X gets the rune. So you are more than happy with dying there from FNG.
Well, I think you're happy with dying. I'm not sure if you're happy with using a Fiend script for it, though, right? Because you've just got the level 2 Rolling Thunder available. It's up in 3 seconds for Ankarad. Maybe just only being 300 gold away from the Aghanim Scepter. He doesn't feel like he wants to go just yet. Oh, it'd be agonizingly close. If he's just sold that Iron Branch previously, it would have been enough.
They're going to make the attempt onto Munkushi. Blade Fury activated before the Roar, and I think that's going to stop a lot of the damage from Notice and Sayush, so they'll be forced to retreat away, especially not aware. A lot of the other one-move members are starting to beeline to bot, and Gilgear won't be able to catch up to the Beastmaster, though. Simultaneously, over at the Lotus board to battle out of the support spot. The stun already used from Panto. He will not be able to stop the TP.
Just takes him in his face. But now you got the Aghanims on the Pangolier. I am a little worried, though, that... Well, I suppose they've still got 40 seconds on the Fiend's Grip cooldown. If they wanted to group up together again and go for another smoke, having, of course, to be careful of where these Hawks are positioned, right? It's another thing to have to worry about, and there's already so many things in Pro Dota that you need to be considering, right? Like, what are the lanes? What is the item builds on people? Yada, yada, yada. But just to have to smoke up underneath one of your wards every single time, one of your sentries, excuse me, really... can slow down a lot of these movements, and that extra couple of seconds of indecision is sometimes all that people need to be able to, you know, land the perfect scan or set themselves up to be able to break that smoke.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
They're going to try and invade into the triangle, though. VP is starting to get some numbers set up. Even wrapping inside the river as well, but FNG and Kiritich are under the wood. Ankrad gonna go straight for the Bane. It's a... the Rolling Thunder, though. It's been used early on. They're not going to be able to get the bounce back. A defensive use of the Fiend Script as well. Meanwhile, over to the right side. Afterlife's going to be able to cast the Doom. It's onto Squad X. That's a lot of the damage inside the team fight. Sayush is going to be nearby to help out. Meanwhile, Mukushi as well is in trouble. Defensive Blade Fury gets him out on danger, but back to the Queen of Pain. It's finally the finishing blow is going to be there. Now they'll turn it back around with the Omni Slash as well, as Mukushi doesn't have the damage by himself.
Oh, it's just...
Notice still going to be able to stay alive, but the beams, they don't get the kill. Kiritich wasn't able to catch up to the Juggernaut. They'll find at least Afterlife instead, but Ankrad comes out of nowhere, Swashbuckle to assassinate Sayush and to spell the end of the team fight as well. A very messy team fight. Overall, it's a 3-for-3.
It was so close to being able to get that kill onto Munkushi. He was down to like 50 HP towards the end of that. Even just a couple of glaives bouncing out. Might have even had a miss up on the high ground as well. But it was really nicely done by FNG. You know, he took out that Juggernaut and the Pangolier from that fight for a good 5-6 seconds. But off the back of the Doom coming through from Afterlife as well, they were still able to just lock in onto the important targets. But it really felt like that was the fight where VP could have potentially turned it around and put themselves in a great spot. The plus side, of course, is that Kiritich got away from that relatively unscathed, and he is certainly looking to start scaling. Nearly into the BKB for him.
How can you scale into a Juggernaut, though? I feel like as the Jug continues to go on, it's one of the better responses to the Luna. I know we don't see these two heroes very often anymore, but...
Yeah, I'll be honest, when the Luna was picked up after the Juggernaut, I was like, Really? is that your late game answer? Because I wasn't feeling quite so confident, right? It depends if Jug can actually get on top of you, right? And I suppose they're just putting a ton of faith into FNG and Notice to be able to make sure that doesn't happen.
Are scanning. Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's like one move looking to try and group up though is 5. Even VP. They smoke with the duo support to try and get some vision down. They might run into F and G. In fact, it's actually going to be Sayush is in a position of... No, wait. Does he get out? Oh, so close with the TP. Nice response from him, but
Roche?
it's not going to be fast enough, and 40 seconds should be enough time for them to be able to take Roche.
I guess they feel that this is their timing, right? They want to make sure that they're not having to contest against this Luna attacking with a crazy attack speed off the back of the V-Stora.
They're
I'm actually happy to fight into this.
And 2 ultimates.
For a support.
He's got a buyback. You might be forced to use it though. A little bit of hesitation coming up means Mukushi's in some trouble. Flab's going to be in a position to doom up the Bane to cancel the Fiend script. So Mukushi, he'll be able to get out of danger back inside the Roche pit. A battle's going on between Notice and Phantom with the Chain Frost going back and forth, but it wasn't enough bounces to get the kill. Actually going to look to re-smoke here from Virtus.pro. So what do they have left? The Eclipse was used, Roar was used, along with Sonic Wave. A lot of ultimates out of VP.
A lot out of one move too, though. Using the Doom onto the Bane instead of the War Stomp, meaning that they weren't able to actually lock it in onto a core prior to some of these Lincolns coming out. That should be coming in probably maybe the second next item for a lot of these, and they feel like they're still strong enough to fight into this. I'm sure they're saying, Notice, get back here. You just TP'd up towards the top side through the Twin Gate. We need your vision. We need the axes. We need the Call, the Wild Hawk. Maybe looking to just fade out potentially a few of these movements, but hopefully they saw that one of the Hawks previously were devoured as they flew over where the Doom is playing right now. That's on the back of Anchorat holding onto the gem on the Pango. Full
Great
wraparound.
positioning. F and G.
High ground vision though.
What can they look to do with the vision? F and G stuck in the tree line. A lot of the attention's going to be put on the Bane for the moment, along with the secondary support. No kills picked up just yet. Further down to the south they go. They want to try and take Sayush out of the equation, but meanwhile, Pantomim's gone as well. A 1-for-1, but now one move deep inside the territory of Virtus.pro. They're going to try and turn with the Omni Slash, but the Illusions taking up. Now with the turn with the Roar as well. They're going to be able to bring down with the Juggernaut. If they used everything to get the kill, it's not going to matter as Squad X and Kiritich, they'll stand strong. Turning to Afterlife next. But the Sonic Wave wasn't enough to have the finishing blow. So Doom, Afterlife will be able to TP up, but still, in the end, it's going to be Virtus.pro that come out on top.
Yeah, Vision wins games, man. They had the Hawk. They had every avenue into where they were positioned at that time watered up as well. The left one, it's good that they're able to remove it so that they're still able to make plays around, but man, FNG is doing a great job just making sure to disrupt a lot of the play on the back lines. There's really just so much that you're going to have to get through before you can get on top of this this Luna. And even just the aggressive play coming through from the Beastmaster, right? Jumps in, gets the initial move onto the Juggernaut, baits out the Omni Slash, and he's got the Crimson Guard to be able to soak up a lot of that damage. Not just himself, but also making sure it bounces over to some of those Lunar Illusions as well. So really feeling like the Jug isn't doing enough.
No hesitation with the jump over the top. Panto's going to go down. He's got enough gold for the buyback. They might not need to use it though. 30 seconds and Roche probably not going to go down throughout that time.
Advantage does swing a little bit more. It depends how quickly they can take it, right? But just in terms of generally where they're taking the team fights, now of course one move have this outpost available if they wanted to make any sort of TPs to be able to play around with. Doesn't seem like they want to do it though. Maybe they just feel that they're, one item short from being able to successfully take a few of these team fights, right? The Juggernaut, so close to the Battle Fury. The Doom, he's going into a Shiva's Guard to be able to protect against this massively fast attack speed off the back of the inner Beastora. Even as the 4-staff on Panto, useful tool to be able to get away from all of that AoE drums of Slom damage coming through.
It's felt like though VP's supports, their positioning has been exceptional through these past couple of fights, right?
Yeah. And now it's even easier, right? Like, what vision can you actually provide when you're going up against a Beastmaster Hawk and a gem that has been stolen away because of that past successful fight? Look at this. FNG even placing some super deep vision, I would assume, towards the south side. Here's the Master trying to put it. Okay, pretty standard spot. But I mean, they know that they've got control over the top side. They know they've got another tier 2 to be able to play around with. And not the easiest heroes at taking towers going the other way. It's not like you've got this Pugner. It's not like you've got any sort of increased attack speed. It's not like you've got the Lunar Blessing as well at nighttime, providing a little bit of that extra utility for the rest of the team. Luna even with the Paladin Sword now as well, so some lifesteal to add to all the previous worries, and she's looking to get her own Butterfly, just dodging out again. More of that damage coming through from the Pango, from the Juggernaut. Finally looking to get into that Nullifier, so at least it is a bit of a Pugner counter. My worry is it going to come a little bit too late?
Yeah, I love you just brought that last point up. I'm concerned it's going to come too late as well. They can just go from lane to lane now. Mid, you'll get the tier 2, you got top already. They're going to be able to defend bottom and wrap down with the rest of the team.
Feels to me like they need the Nullifier and a Blink Dagger on the Juggernaut before they're able to do anything, because you don't want to pop the Omni Slash just to be able to kill the Pugner, but if you can, you know, blink in, nullify him, it's a very easy kill to be able to get onto the Pugner, right? You might be forced to use the spin if he reacts and uses the decrep on the Juggernaut instead, and then you're going to be forced to go into something like an Omni Slash instead. So it really just is on the quick thinking coming through from these VP supports that are going to determine a lot of these team fights.
It's a very interesting move from Virtus.pro. They sent a couple of heroes bottom, like corralled one move to go back to the triangle, and then VP just went back to top. So they're completely taking over the map, and you see one move, they're only playing at the triangle. So they felt like they could continue farming bottom before, but now with the position in, they're going to have to go back to protect the Doom as Eclipse is used. No hesitation, Afterlife. Oh, he still goes down. Panto, it's not enough with the Frost Shield, and if he looks to buy back, that's going to be BKB on cooldown. Aincrab looking to start, though. Into the middle with the Rolling Thunder, but he's going to be cautious by himself as well. That's a full set of barracks now. No Doom, no Rolling Thunder.
No creeps, but yeah, should be enough to at least get this this tier 3, and we know how quickly bases can start to explode once a Luna gets inside. Constantly looking to remove that range Rax. Melee might survive long enough. Yeah, the back door is kicked in, but that creep wave is coming very shortly. Not wanting to use the buyback quite yet on the Doom. Yeah, they even popped the Solar Crest onto Doom while he was running away as well, so that plus the Frost Shield still not enough to be able to protect him. I almost wonder, like, do they feel like they have some damage issues on one move? Because it feels like they can't necessarily lock onto the target they want. This is the thing we were talking about with, like, a little bit more of that crowd control, whether it be root, stun, slows, whatever it may be. And maybe they need to put a little bit more attention into taking this Tormentor while they can, because they've cleared out basically everything else on Virtus.pro. You know, top lane completely cleared, outer towers in mid lane gone. Still have tier 1 and 2 bottom, and something like a Hunter's Boomerang to enable that quick pickoff, or even just the Ice Spire for the Lich for that 30% movement speed slow, really can't be discounted just to enable Munkushi to actually get on top of the target that he wants.
Well, there's that Boomerang.
Yep. But I want to see this Blink Dagger next for Munkushi. You know, he's level 20 now, so a little bit more of that lifesteal to stay in the middle of the fights. We don't want to be playing around the Blade Fury anymore. The Aghanim Shard, not quite as good as it used to be. Here we go. Can they make a move as the Aegis is about to expire? Just 15 seconds away, but you gotta say, top lane, mid lane, pretty pushed in, and making it even more difficult is Kiritich with those pesky Mantas, and they know exactly what's happening. Just look at all of VP, make the super defensive moves up towards their high ground, the safest place for them to still be getting some farm, but also being protected close to their tier 2 tower. I'm sure they realize that after the fact, right? Tier 3 even being hit by this siege creep. What can you do?
What can you do indeed for one move? 6,000 deficit for them, and Looking to be a very rough way to get back into this. Kiritich working on the Satanic next.
For me, it's... I want to see a basher on Anchorat as well. Like, just another thing that might be able to remove things like the Fiend's Grip from range. I know you're mostly the target that's being used on, but Kushi has been kind of focused a little bit in these past few fights by FNG, but, you know, if you can just look to get a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, Lincoln's makes a lot of sense as well, but I feel like, again, the damage issues are a little bit more prevalent, and you need a fight to start off in the way that you want. Can you get the jump? Of course, so hard to do that against a Beastmaster.
See what Gilgir is going to be able to do off the back of the invis, though. Maybe he can pop the smoke and give them the information required to take a successful team fight. Virtus.pro, they're going to go the long way around, it looks like, though.
Those lines being drawn. Do they have any vision?
It's just an illusion, my friends. Don't do it. Very good.
They saw it still makes sound inside the fog, that Lotus Pool, so they know exactly where they're positioned.
Does it?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. What? Alright.
You can also just look and see if a Lotus disappears at the time.
And what? There was all this talk about the cheese block at the start of the patch, and
the block of cheese, yeah, we don't really see it much, do we? I mean, the Lotuses are so value to use in the mid game. It's kind of grief. I think if you get literally every single Lotus from top and bottom, it still takes you like 42 minutes to get the block of cheese. So, yeah, with most games finishing about that 40 or so minute mark, it's you're missing out on a lot of utility.
Yeah, that you are. It's just, I mean, if you want to count how much all your cost effectiveness out of the healing and the mana that you get out of it in the lane, it just would not be worth it in the end. So it's a nice thing in theory, and honestly, I don't even care if it's just crap, as actually we'll hold that, because Gilgir got a really good cliff ward. They're starting to tip in. Gilgir's going to try and start. Anchorat's going to fall up as well. Raw's going to be in position along with the Fiend's Grip as well. They need a way to protect the Pangle. There's nothing they can do. As now Afterlife as well getting chased down. No BKB to protect himself. He's going to pop to the screen of Pain and squad. He had an incredible game one. He follows it up with an even better second game, and that's going to be another full set at Barracks bottom. They might even get Megas, dude. They push super fast with this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You got the Solar Crest to be able to make plays around. Kiritich was even considering just immediately moving towards that mid lane when the Frost Shield was up on the tower, but can't stay there forever. Another 5 seconds on the cooldown. No buybacks on 2 of your cores. I think it is Mega Creeps. Get the quick kill onto Gilgir, which they will. Just have to call it. I mean, you may as well buy back on the Hoodwink.
Tip him, FNG. You're about to get the last laugh.
He might be out of him.
It was a
he might have used his
tip.
3.
He might be out of them. That's where it's like, boy, I'm the captain. You're all the just... I'm the old blood. Back me up a little bit. They've done it. They have done it. I think there was just even one tip just then. Yeah, Squad X onto Gilgir. Rolling Thunder, though.
They really want this pick.
But again... It's just
he doesn't have the Lincolns.
It's either Raw or Fiend's Grip through the entirety of this game. He's been able to get no value out of the Rolling Thunder. Now Kushi, he's forcing it to try and do whatever he can. It's a lot of damage out of the Omni Slash, but Kiritich stands strong, turns off the back of the Satanic Life, so we're repairing all of the damage, and there's just nothing left in the tank. 4 down. They might even go past the T4s to get the team. Like, they won't find it, but they'd be more than happy with the victory in 2-0 fashion. Virtus.pro, they're going to be able to topple one move.
All smiles coming through as well from FNG specifically. You know, it's always good when the tips come back to bite, and, well, not when it happens against you, of course, but VP, even though the kill score pretty even that game, it just felt like they were in such a dominant position all throughout, with the exception, of course, of that Juggernaut Lich lane. I was a little perplexed as to why they persisted with that, but eventually, you know, after the 4th Pugden death, they just stopped laning. They built up stacks both through the Pugna himself as well as the Beastmaster. How many did we get by the end of that game? Just the 4 stacks on both of them, so still plenty enough to be able to get Lotus into that early-ish Aghanim Scepter. Does a decent amount of damage all throughout the game. And, well, this time around, Squad X didn't even have the space to be able to become that, like, huge presence, tripling everyone else's damage. He was very much equivalent to what Kiritich was doing, and that came off the back of just playing together a whole lot more, wanting to make the most use out of all of those auras that they had to play with.
Man, for one move, this is going to be really scary position for them to be in. Keep in mind, they started this summer 2-0. They've now lost the 4 series in a row. They are 2-4. 1 series left, and if I remember correctly, that series is against Spirit.
Yep.
So, yikes. I mean, they might be finishing 2-5, which could put them potential relegation, potential tiebreakers for it. Who knows with what's going to happen with all the other games, but just
it's tiebreakers minimum now with VP winning this, because they were the only one still left on only the 1 win. I think Alikum Nihao will not be proceeding forward in Division 1, I don't believe, but they still, of course, want to fight. I mean, I guess if they win their last 2 series, right? They're 0-5 right now, but it requires a little bit of a miracle for them.
That it does, yeah. It requires a miracle, and for one move now, you're really just hoping that some of your other competition, and those teams being Hydra and Namiga, lose some of their other series as well, so you guys aren't guaranteed relegation. You can fight for some tiebreakers, but it's not looking good for these boys at all. But for Virtus.pro, it continues. I'm going to keep saying it. Yep, still alive, and we'll keep saying it. They keep losing versus the top 3 teams, and all the other teams they keep beating. This is now 3 tours in a row. They're beaten 1 move, so that is a big series for them to be able to find. They're going to jump up to 2-2 for Virtus.pro, so a decent scorecard for them, but they really need to get some more wins.
I want to have a look at when VP actually play 9 Pandas. It's the last game of the entire tour. That's hype. That one, if they keep this trend going, I'm assuming 9 Pandas are going to win the rest of their games, maybe with the exception of Spirit, which is on the second last day. But if VP continue all those wins, then that last one is the potential to force the tiebreakers to see who goes to the Bali Major. So again, it's all in VP's hands. All they got to do is win. It's simple, right? Just win forehead. But, I love seeing these teams that I want to see the progression, right? No more just win against who you should, lose against who you should. We got to see some progression from Tour 1 to Tour 3. They've had enough time. Hopefully, they've had enough experience to being able to make that jump.
Well, at least for this series in particular, it works out for them. And one of those kind of rising stars, Quad X, completely dominated. Back-to-back Queen of Pain performances, incredibly dominant for him and all the other boys as well. So that's just our first series of the night. It's going to be 2 series though for our entertainment. So the next one is Spirit vs Hydra. That will be a bit of a break though, just over half an hour, about 35 minutes until that second series is ready to go. So of course Spirit currently tied second position, 3-0. Hydra, they are 2-3 as well. So Hydra in a very similar position to 1 move. They need to get some wins under their belt, otherwise they would be potentially in a spot for relegation. So again, next series is going to be about 35 minutes, but when we come back, we've got Spirit taking on Hydra.